So that has happened before, but not publicized like this. So we've dealt with these waters before, but this was like, we were like behind the game, man. We were behind MSM and anal sex. Like, how did we get in front of y'all? Like, what the? So, yeah. What happened? There we go. Okay. And then we have our, wait, let me go back. Okay, I'm going to go back. No, we're not ready for this one yet. Oh. Hold on, did I mess this up? Not ready. Am I going backwards?
Yeah, forward.
You got
Forward. Oh, I had to go forward, huh? Technical difficulties are always fun. What did he do? I don't like these things because I'm always doing the... Okay, hold on. I'm going backwards. These are critical. Okay, I think I need IT. See, he's right here. He's gonna handle this. I need to go from these slides.
She made a wish.
Anyway, so as you can see, where we're gonna get, where we're gonna go from this. I'm gonna go right back to. Go backwards. Okay, so it's that way. No, you gotta go the other way, right? I'm gonna go further back. I'm gonna go back. Going. Hold more. Okay, right there. Go. Perfect. Now I should be going this one, right? Go forward. Go gaily forward, not backwards.
Why are you falling asleep?
That's this one. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. It's always fun. Not predictable.
I got you on camera for all this.
Okay, so there's our words. And then... Yeah, there's a glitch right there. It's on this slide here. He doesn't want to go. I'll make it go. I will make it go.
Can't use those words.
That word. Do not go forward. Do not go forward. Did I ever tell you about the guy, the transgender? Okay. Transgender person walks in the bar behind all the gay men. No, never mind. Okay. And then, so this is probably the biggest thing that we've seen since then, is this new religious conscious law. So not only is it a religious, it's going to be a new rule targeting trans people and reproductive act and abortion. They're going to create a whole department to enforce it. A whole department of enforcement. What's insidious about this is that actually a friend of mine has cited in the actual entire Department of Justice memo, which if you read it, it's like 50 pages. So one of my friends is a trans guy, Kevin, and his whole case is literally listed in it. We sit on the LGBT caucus for the California Democratic Party. So he checked last year, he checks into Dignity Health. He's providers Dignity Health. They're one of the largest providers in the state. He's having his hysterectomy, checks in, says, I'm trans, please use him, he, his pronouns. Next morning, surgery's canceled. Hysterectomy is completely canceled. It's like, what? They informed him he was transgender and they weren't going to cover it because of their religiously based. Just cancel it. That is now cited as a reason for religious objections and for healthcare providers to be able to work and cite their religious preferences and their conscience if they don't have to. And he said, it's unreal to see my name in my case that I'm fighting with the ACLU here in San Francisco, cited in this justification for them to do that. And he's still having it. I mean, he's just like, I can't even talk about it. So it's a real thing. And then this is probably one of the things that a lot of people, we hear all about the immigration, we hear about the children, but our trans immigrants are being caught up in all this too. This is Roxana. I had met her many years ago in LA at some conferences, as she has been back and forth. She was part of the migrant caravan that Trump was really targeting and tweeting out and building his base about. There was a whole bunch of trans women in that caravan from El Salvador and Honduras and Nicaragua. They held her in ICE for 5 days, withheld her medications, and she died. And this has been notorious. And the only reason why we know that she died, and activists on the ground in Los Angeles and in Texas, was because they read some printout of deaths in custody, and they used all male pronouns and misgendered her and everything. And it was only because her friends knew she was in custody and recognized her name. They didn't even say, they just said, oh, male deceased in custody, like a throwaway person. That's how they reported it. Yeah, so again, we're fighting on this front too. You can find a whole list. This isn't even, I just pulled out. So at the National Transgender Center of Education website, they literally have a breakdown of all these actions. And it only goes to May, and there's 28 targeting trans and LGBT. Only 28, just 28. There's also another list down here of 6 that are affecting everybody and all the intersectionals of immigrant, DACA, also Department of Housing and Urban Development, Department of Health and Human Services, Affordable Care, more education, that are going to affect trans and LGBT people as part of everybody else being caught up in this. And this doesn't even talk about SCOTUS. So the Supreme Court, we know that Kavanaugh, what we're expecting is that they want to take some of these transgender cases that are unsettled, especially the transgender identity, student identity, the bathroom bills, take it to the Supreme Court, and then with a conservative majority, they will then enforce it in Supreme Court ruling and law that we will be second to class and strip us of our civil rights. They want these to go to the court under Kavanaugh. That's why we're fighting all across. Not only is it about gay marriage rights and marriage equality, but it's about all the other LGBT and transgender rights. It's specifically targeting transgender rights at the Supreme Court level. That's why Kavanaugh is so dangerous to not only us, but everybody else. Okay, we're going to breathe a little bit. And now we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty because the time is running and I'm mindful of our time. Everybody breathe. After all that. Yeah. That's what it feels like a little bit of what trans people go through, reading these headlines. That's what our mental health is. Stressed out. Freaking out. Does it matter that we're in the Bay Area? Yes. Does it matter we're in California? Yes. We have the most trans and LGBT protections than any other state. But they could be threatened at any time federally. This is our program in TransVision. We're going to go to all the good things that we're doing, and this is the stuff I really like to talk about because the biggest thing that you see there is that picture, is that trans flag. That is a transgender flag that you can see coming across the parking lot. I don't know how many clinics can say that literally can see a transgender flag in their parking lot coming across the clinic. That flag is huge, and it's a beacon to our clients. So if they're running around they know if they don't see a trans flag, they know they're in the wrong place. We know, they just automatically, they see the flag, they go, oh, like, girl, where you been? I not lost, went to the clinic and everything, and I knew it wasn't there because the flag wasn't there. This flag, when we recently painted and the walls were down, we had a federal audit and we painted everything, the first thing they said, we said, well, what do you guys want up front? We're going to kind of redo the walls, we're not going to put everything up. They said, put the flag up, we'll help you. They literally volunteered and they wanted that flag up right off the bat. We did. We put the flag up, nothing else went on the walls for 2 weeks while we got frames and stuff. But they had the flag there and they were excited, and it was their peace and their calm and their center. So we are excited to do that. So here's our program. This is how we handle the Trump era. It's nothing. It's worse than we've ever dealt with before, but we've navigated conservative waters before. We've been around since 2002. We're an award-winning service provider resource for trans people in Alameda County, and not just Alameda County, other states. We're recognized nationally and internationally as a trans-affirming primary health care and HIV program for trans people, and we are the first comprehensive health and social services program for trans people in Alameda County. So I'm kind of proud that we were able to do that, and we moved beyond HIV prevention and care services, which we should always be moving and trying to expand and evolving and not just staying. Trans services historically have always come through HIV dollars. Pretty much as gay men's health has always come through HIV dollars. And when you're trying to solve a myriad of issues through what we call HIV pennies now, you're not going to go far. So we've looked for alternative forms of funding to expand. Trans people are way more than HIV prevention and care, right? Way more than HIV. Our goal is to lower the affection of Alameda County transgender women by increasing knowledge, but we address everything else under the sun that they're dealing with. They don't want to just be dealing with HIV. They want to deal with the whole, you see they're dealing with a whole other issues. One of our successes is that we have full trans staff, and I want to acknowledge my team over here in this room. They came here, and I want to, they do the work, they do the magic. I'm not doing any magic, but they are the magic that does. They have the relationships with their clients. They find the clients. They find the clients at 3 o'clock in the morning when they've missed their appointments. They know, they have the pulse on the community. And so Janet, Lorena, Erica, this is my team. I don't want to out them in the room, but they're here. So I want to just really, they're up here in the front, and they are amazing, and they're why we are such successful. So I might be the face, but they're the heart and the soul of the team, and they're the ones that actually do the work. And then we have Charlie, who is the gentleman in the middle, and Charlie does our prep navigation, full prep access and prep, and that's what we've been working on a lot right now. And there's our safe affirming spaces. No matter what we do, no matter what we're dealing with, no matter what we're navigating, our clients always know that they have affirming in a safe space. Whether it's in the exam room that reflects them, or it's in the waiting room. And I think that's the biggest thing. When we created this program in 2002, the one thing that we said, what's the first thing that we want to do, is a safe space, and there it is. What we do for our clients is we take control. We work with clients to control what they can. I can't control what Trump is doing, I can control what we can. What do you need? Do you need your ID to change? Do you need a doctor's appointment today? Do you need a surgery referral? Let's control what we can, and let's just focus on that. Let's not worry about what's happening over there. We help our clients learn how to advocate for themselves. We appeal all insurance denials and appeal, which usually helps, and we usually get it through. Educate on trans protections. What is protecting them now? They need to know, and most already do know. And then if we can't help them, we refer to resources that can. We don't do anything different than a lot of other clinics in San Francisco. I think it's just that we're in Fremont and we're not here. One of the things we do is the free name and gender change assistance. We added several years ago, way before Trump and Affordable Care Act. We do over 100 name changes a year and we don't charge. It's part of established care. So that's a big, and we go to court. Janet goes to court. Lorena does everything in Spanish and go to court. We go to court with them, so does Erica. Peer-to-peer client, surgery referrals, letters, and we do the informed consent model. And on our trans-specific health intake, we do preferred name, chosen pronouns, it's all there, along with legal documentation. So it's just really listening to our clients. Prevention services are all the same around that everybody else is doing, so that's not really important. What's important is we just finished a federal research project. We were one of 9 in the country, and it was named the Brandy Martell Project. So we've been dealing with the trans murders for a while. Brandy was one of our team members, and she was shot and killed in Oakland in 2012. So she's always on our walls and guiding us. So we've been dealing with the hate crime and the hate violence education for a long time. So we just finished a special project of national significance with Brandy. We were one of 9 in the country. It's important to know that, again, what are we doing? We're creating innovative programs. We're creating access to care that doesn't just deal with HIV again. We modeled 2 specific interventions, one legal and one modeled like a college program of courses that a lot of the community didn't get because they didn't finish high school or weren't going to college. Our lawyer, we had federal money to hire an Oakland attorney who 25 successfully navigated them in Oakland court. Not one was incarcerated. Prior to having this money, I was going to court with the clients. I'm like, they're in my program, put them in my custody, and you're with Tiffany, and if you come back in the next 6 months to have any police interaction, we're restarting the charges. I'm like, don't worry, they're not coming back. I'm good, but I'm not a lawyer. David got them all off of everything from DUIs to 5,000 in court fines, and I mean, just a ton of stuff. 0% incarceration. And then in our living room workshops, we had 20 graduates. And when we opened the sessions, we only had 1 person working. 7 were fully employed at the end. Because we got to do employment sessions. And actually, out of the 16 workshops, the most popular session was self-defense. We had we have a former law enforcement partner of ours. She is in San Jose, and she does domestic violence training with women who have been abused in domestic violence. And she works with the LGBT community and trans women specifically. So not only did she come up, but we went through 3 hours of hand-to-hand, literally disarming from guns and knives and running and self-defense and protective. And they kept coming. We've done 4 or 5 different sessions, and they keep coming back for more, and we keep bringing more. It's their most favorite session. So this was very successful. And then we do a lot of media visibility advocacy. A lot of people don't, where are you going to get a trans person in Fremont? We know where to find them. Trans people in Fremont, there's cows of them in here. No, there's trans people up there. We work a lot with Amber Lee. So it's important to get not just the San Francisco voices. I love San Francisco. I have a lot of colleagues here, but a lot of trans people live outside of this area. And it's important to have those stories and voices. And I can represent, but I want my team up there telling their stories and representing their communities too. Janet is actually a former veteran, so she has done several interviews on trans veteran policy when that kicked off. And here we go, more education, more training. We're everywhere. But the biggest thing I think we do to counter the Trump administration and all of this anti-stuff is I think at the local level we bring hope to government. We sell hope. We give hope. So I'm going to read this to you. We had a client, we actually are going to feature our program in our annual report, first time ever. It took 18 years, but hey, we're there. And so I asked her, I said, hey, would you mind giving us a little bit, why do you come to Tri-City Health Center? So she said, okay. She sent me this long email and I cut it down and this is what she said. This is just literally cutting it down. I'm a transgender woman. I've been going to TransVision for nearly 4 years now. I keep coming back to them because they've taken good care of myself and others. I've referred several people to them and recently joined the Transgender Advisory Board because in the time that I've been going there, I have gotten to learn just how important the services they offer are. Not just locally, but the rest of the Bay Area and also beyond. They don't just provide hormones. They do a lot more that often gets overlooked. The staff also does advocacy and outreach. They have done training sessions, taught classes, made appearances at Pride Celebration events. Support groups are expanding. Visitors from other areas and even other countries have come to learn their model and effort to bring trans healthcare back to their local communities. TransVision is helping change the world with their example. These are her words. I just said, tell us why you come here. Through the local transgender community may seem very small, and it is in Fremont in the East Bay as you get past Hayward down towards San Jose in that little area, the Tri-City area. It's bigger than it looks and is growing thanks to the service available here. Not all the patients at the clinic are locals though. Some from the surrounding cities, some from across the bay, some from further out in the state, and even a few people from out of state have found themselves in TransVision's waiting room. I'm very thankful that the clinic exists. They saved me. TransVision is a vital resource for the transgender community and they are making an ongoing difference. That, I think, more than all this other stuff and all this life, that's what we do. I think we give hope. And we actually have concrete results and the tools to do that. Last but not least, I can't leave without a tribute, because even in San Francisco in 2018, with all the resources that we have here, we're losing our students. Dane was 22 years old, he took his life, and if you've ever been at CCF, you know the resources they have. I went to CCSF in 1986, Google it, it's like the 21st century, it was way back then. And I wasn't out, and I wasn't myself, and I was struggling, and I was going to be a cop. So I've actually gone to CCSF and spoken there, so this is personal, because I went there for 3 years after trying to be a cop, when I was still way deep in the closet. And in 2018, Dane's family refused to reclaim his body after 10 days in the corners. Apparently they were estranged and he didn't accept his trans identity. So this went nationally, actually internationally, and they were raising money just to bury Dane with dignity. They actually did, they raised $25,000, and at the last update, Dane's mother and grandmother were helping with the funeral arrangements. But in 2018, in San Francisco, we have trans students whose parents refuse to claim their body. So think about that. We have a lot of work to do, not just nationally, but even locally. So I want us to think tribute to Dave. This is why we do the work we do. And remember, we are not a mental health disorder. We are vibrant people, and that's part of it. My intro, my bio, I talk about, first thing I say is I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a kids, my kids are in the back, my wife's in the back, because it's important to frame that narrative that we are sisters and sons and daughters and grandchildren, and it's important that we have families, and many of us have kids, and my wife and I have been together for 32 years. So, we didn't just hopped out of some trans bin in the last 15 years. Here we are. It's Halloween. So we are not a mental disorder. We never have been, and hopefully the world will start to see that as we have a lot of work to do. And we are at questions and answers. All right.
We have a couple of minutes.
We have a couple of minutes?
And if you have any questions for Ms. Woods afterwards, I'm going to be presumptuous and assume she'll be happy to stick around and answer them.
And my last magic trick is to clear the room for him.
That's a joke.
It's a joke, isn't it? Tell jokes. I promise no magic tricks on stage.
Yeah.
So any questions at this point that you want to have, please feel free.
I'll hand you the microphone.
The microphone, and I'm pretty transparent up here. And if I don't have the answer, we can help you find it. Any questions? Burning questions?
Well,
Especially things that weren't clear?
well, Are you okay just hanging out outside?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, well, then we're gonna.
Dr. Riley?
Hold on, you got some questions?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
trying to
walked
get me
right
off
by
the
you.
stage.
There's a purloined letters
Never
in the
having to come back
Commonwealth.
again. No, I'm taking this with me.
Thanks for the presentation. I just wondered, what in the next 6 months or a year, what would you say is your, of all the different policy concerns you listed, what would you say is the biggest one?
That's a good one. I would say the Healthcare Affordable Care Act, because it's a gateway to so many things. It's for health of our communities. It's mental health, it's physical health. If that is completely gutted and we lose all those Affordable Care Act protections, and so just a primer, and those that work in this field know, and there's a lot of people in this room that I know you know this, but prior to 2014 the Affordable Care Act passing, transgender identity was considered a pre-existing condition. That word, transgender, just like HIV, just like cancer. So if you're an African American or Latina or Asian trans woman, a trans woman of color who is HIV positive, and you have those diagnoses in your charts, you are a pre-existing condition again. There's no insurance company that touches you. We had to pay for all that care out of ADAP and other funds, and so I think the Affordable Care Act is the one that when you have all of your health care covered, your specific health care, we're called specialty care now. I think if we protect and keep fighting, because it's not just us that's losing, it's everything, we're the center of that as far as, we're one of the main things they're targeting to remove. We're already seeing the insurance companies here in California already tighten up with the restrictions. We just got new guidelines on letters of researchal. We have to have all this more documentation. We now have to have a prior authorization for oral estradiol, not just injectables, regular estrogen pills that you might take, or you might take. We now have to have a prior authorization and documentation of, and they want to see our labs. So I think that's going to, because once you have your surgery and everything else comes together, you can access other services. So I think that's the biggest thing that we're all working on right now. Any other question?
Being recorded, so we'll hear your voice.
Yes, I was just wondering if you have any plans to expand your services for younger children who have come out.
So it wasn't covered in the slides, but yes, so we have about 20 that are about 24 to 14 that we see for primary care. My youngest client, our youngest client is 14 years old, about ready to start puberty blockers. We've had several of them puberty blockers. So we've been working with school districts in Fremont, which is not easy. She was in the other day. She's just a joy. She hangs out with us. So yeah, we do full primary care for trans youth and trans students. So I mean, we follow all the guidelines. If you are under 18, we have to have parental guardian consent. We make sure all that is documentation. They have to literally come in and meet with us. They have to meet with the provider. We have to have, but once that's done, we can do puberty blockers in the guidelines until 16. Recommended guidelines for starting hormone therapy is 16. We get them to 16 and then we go straight on to hormones, and everything is monitored under full medical care. And most of our trans students at youth have already seen professional counselors and therapists and have those letters and documentation. So it's changing their lives. I mean, and I think the bigger thing is that we give them a safe space. Even if they're not old enough to start, like medical transition, we allow them to come out and hang out with the team. We talk with the parents, the family. We make time for them, and that they can be around us and be around. I think modeling, these are trans people who have made it through these difficult years, and here they are, and I get to hang out with them. And I was telling Carm, our client the other day, telling her stories about me being in Hollywood back in 2000, and we were cracking up, and she was laughing, and for a while she doesn't have to be a kid navigating no school, and I think that's a big deal for us. So yeah, and we can talk later about other services that we offer. Can you wrap it up? Okay.
Unfortunately, we are out of time. That was absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
Ms. Woods, and you said you don't mind hanging out in the foyer for a little bit.
Absolutely.
And so this concludes this Commonwealth presentation. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.